a lot of he puts into his artwork, like the Big Bear, which is really the Big Dipper, and the hawks, and the Coco Perry, and the big, some of the ravens. He loves ravens. And that's everything that you see around you. So what we're going to do first, and then look at the next one, and the next one. See if anything kind of grabs you a little bit. Maybe it's something that says, gee, I like that color. Or, wow, how did you do that? See if anything happens to you in your head. It's a drawing. Take a look at this. And I will briefly tell you the story, and then we will start this demo. This is a picture he calls Celestial Necklace. Celestial means sky, okay? And a necklace, we all know what a necklace is. And here, when he was in the Southwest, he was gathering beads that were turquoise beads. A crystal was given to him, which he was very pleased about, and some abalone. He took it home, didn't do anything, and one day he just sort of was sitting in the studio, and he took out these things out, and he began to make a necklace. That's all. Simple. He just began to make a necklace. He took the necklace outside and held it up in the sky. It looked gorgeous. And all of a sudden, his mind saw these hawks flying around the necklace. And all of a sudden, he realized that here was a necklace in the sky, here were the hawks, and he was in the valley. And so he said, I have to draw that. I have to make a drawing of that beautiful necklace, the hawks, and the valley. And so he made this. He made two of them. This one, it was on the wall over there. When we put it up, we're putting up the art show, you'll get a kick out of this. We didn't even have the labels up. There's about 30 things hanging in both rooms. Somebody came in and loved it so much, they got a Post-it, and they put a Post-it on it that said sold, and they put their name on it, and it wasn't even labeled. The other one is in our house. It's my favorite drawing of these, and it's been hanging up there, I don't know, 40 years or whatever. But I thought you might enjoy seeing how an artist sometimes gets an idea. This is an idea from beads, from a necklace. There's lots of ways to get exciting ideas that can become your artwork. So I'm going to put this back, and Lee's going to start telling you about his secret about the paper, and then some of the different printmaking processes that you, I think, will enjoy. Okay.
All right, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the paper that I print on. Sometimes I just print on regular, like paper. But when I was in the Southwest, and I saw these beautiful petroglyphs, like this, on the face of a sandstone cliff. The cliff was so beautiful, I thought I would like to make some paper that looks like that cliff. So when I print some of my prints on it, that will show through. And as you can see, as you look around, all of these have that kind of coloration of a sandstone cliff. So how can I prepare my paper in that fashion? Well, I worked and tried lots of different things. And then when I finally found out about how to do it, it's so simple, as a lot of things are when we finally learn how to do it, right? So what I do is I take a very good piece of printmaking paper. This is called Reed's BFK, 100% rag. It's super strong. You can hardly break it or tear it. So I thought, okay, I will try this. And it worked. What I did was I soaked it in paper for an hour, soaked it in water for an hour, so the paper. And then I just started to crumble it up. And so I crumbled it up into this wow. And I know that inside there it's all twisted and put together. And then I let it dry for about a couple of days. Actually, if you put it in the sun, you can dry it in a half hour. When it was dry, I unfolded it carefully, and I got this pattern on there. It's all folded up. It has high spots and low spots, medium spots. How can I bring those out with the colors I want? First thing I did was go to my hardware store, and I got myself some spray paint. Then I took my paper and I mounted it with pins on a board so it was real stiff, and I could hold it up like this very easily. And then I started to spray down at that end. And you notice I'm spraying up and down at this angle, not straight in because I'll cover everything up. But if I come at an angle and spray and then just bring the spray paint back this way, the spray hits the side of the fold that's facing me, right? And that's where the paint is thickest. And around the corner, a little bit of paint might seep over. So now I have this orange. I also took red. I wanted a little more red in it. So I did it again in red. And now I have this orange, red, but I still have white paper showing from behind where the paint couldn't get. Then I take my watercolor set and I get my finest gold color, yellow. And I take a big brush and I simply go over the whole thing. And that gold sticks on the white paper, but it won't stick on this acrylic paint. It just recedes from the acrylic paint and it goes down. Okay.
That's new to us.
What is that? Oh, it's the microphone. All right. Then I have to take, and I have to iron this flat, right? Because it's pretty wrinkly. So when I actually print, it has to be flat. So I flatten it out with an iron. So there's my cliff face, ready to print on. Okay, so how do I print? Lots of ways to print. A print is having what they call a matrix, which could be a piece of wood, flat piece of wood, or linoleum, or metal, or even paper. That's what we call a plate that you work on. I'm going to first show you a linoleum block, and then I'm going to show you a metal plate block, and then I'm going to show you a color map. 3 different ways to do this. Linoleum, battleship linoleum, used to be used on battleships. In the old days, when they made a big battleship, this was what they used for the floor. Nowadays, they don't make that anymore. So where do you get your linoleum nowadays? You have to go to an art store. Because the art people, they said, that's so beautifully easy to cut with gouges that we want to use that. So you can still buy this for the art trade. So there's the piece of linoleum. And you have to put your design on there. And I made my design, did lots of sketches, and then I took a piece of tracing paper, and I took the parts of the strip, the drawing that I liked the best, and I put it in various places. So it was really easy to do. The final drawing was easy, because I had all the parts already made, already drawn. And then I take that image, I get a piece of linoleum the right size, and I have to transfer this drawing onto the linoleum. So in the art store you can buy transfer paper. It's like the old carbon paper they used to use on typewriters. Nobody nobody really knows about that anymore. But the art trade, they still have transfer paper. Put your transfer paper down, put your drawing over it, tape it on there so it won't slip, and you go over that drawing, line by line. It transfers onto the linoleum, and then you cut that out with a gouge. You have all different size gouges. Now I'm going to walk around with this because when you see up close, you can really see how this is cut.
How long does it take you, Lee?
Everybody see how long. It takes me about a month. So, that's too long. You don't want to work on something in a month. But you really do.
Good idea.
Good idea.
Light up your paintings, Lee.
Hey, the lights just came on. Wonderful. So now I'm ready to print this after I cut the block. So I get a brayer, which is a roller, and I get some ink, and I roll it up, and I can roll that ink over this block. Anything that I cut out is deeper, isn't it? So it only hits the high spots, the ink, and the low spots, you don't get any ink. And how does that look when you print it? I print on white paper so I can see exactly what I have. And that's what I was looking on white paper. You notice it looks a little smudgy because this was the first print. So some of those smudgy things, I want to cut it a little deeper so that it's not going to print. Then I'm ready to print it on my prepared paper. And I want to see how that looks. And that looks pretty good already, doesn't it? Doesn't look too bad. And now I want some more color in there. So what do I do with the color? I get some Prismacolors, which are colored pencil, and I color in the background. You color in the background, then the parts that you already have colored with the background watercolor, they show through the opening. So now if I want to make some more of these, it's easy. I just make a print, and then I color them. If I want to color them all exactly the same, I can make them all the same. But that's what's nice about the print. I might want to change it. My mood might change. I want to make it darker, lighter, and maybe even use different colors. So I have an option. I can go back and change it very easily if I want to. So that's the way you make a linoleum block. And this now is what you call an etching. That's really heavy. That's metal. This is a big piece of zinc. You can use zinc, or traditionally you can use copper. The copper's fine little lines on there. Can you see those? How do those get on there? Well, I transferred my drawing on there. But first of all, I put an acid-resistant coating over that. Lots of different ways to do that. But now it has an acid-resistant coating. Then I take an etching needle and I scratch through and make all those lines. Then I put the whole thing in acid, and the acid bites down through the metal and gives you a perfect line, exactly where you opened up the acid resist. And you clean off the acid resist, you're ready for your first proof print. And here we go. That's your first proof. Now if you look at that when it comes by, you'll notice that everything is made up of very fine, delicate lines. Where there's more lines closer together, what you get a darker surface. Less lines gives you a medium. And with the There's no lines at all. This print's blank, white, in this case. So I like that print. That's very interesting to look at, but I want it a little more dynamic, a little more dark and light. So I inked it the same way again, but this time I took a roller and I put another layer of ink over the top of the plate. So now it's all white. And I get what they call tar. That's what you wipe it with to get the lines to show up. And I started to wipe out just certain areas. And I left other areas completely covered up. So this is the resulting print of that. And you can see the figures are shown through and some of the symbols in the background. But you see that great big pyramid of dark in the center. So that's a pretty nice print. So I make some black and whites like that. But now I want to go back to my cliff face and put it up on a cliff face. So here's the print on the background paper. Plus the blue, again, I come back and draw in the prism color. Another way to make a plate that you want to print is called a collograph. It comes from the word collage. Collage means you paste and glue things onto a surface. But in this case, if you print that surface, it's called a collograph. So I got a piece of mat board, and I got my linoleum, but I cut the linoleum into shape. Bird here and bird here. That's nice because you can use them like a puzzle later. You can make one of these birds appear in another picture. And then in the background, I put this beautiful thin rope, and it has this beautiful texture on it because of the way the rope is woven. And that's all fastened down there.
If you look around the room, Lee loves ravens. They're everywhere. And part of the reason is we live in Lagunitas on the slopes of Mount Barnaby, and he would hike up through our land up to the ridge. And if you know what thermals are, it's as the air rises, and when the air would get to the top of the ridge, it's fairly strong. And the birds love to fly in the thermal, and ravens, they like to play in it. There you, in fact, you'll find a print here with a raven upside down. And Lee would come home when dinner's ready, and he'd tell the stories about the ravens that he saw. So you'll see a lot of ravens. And also ravens are well in legends in Native American stories. There are a lot of stories about ravens bringing fire and doing other exciting things.
Yeah, if you ever see ravens flying, if you go out to the coast and you start to see a few flying around, you want to watch them for a while. Because all of a sudden they'll get in formation, and then one of them will turn over on its back, and they'll be flying along, and then they play together. Very interesting bird. I want to print this now, but I have a problem, and that is that if I put ink on here, like I do on my other plates, it's going to soak into that rope, and then it's going to be really hard to clean. So there's another way to print, which is not to ink the plate, but to take your paper. Again, you have to soak it for a while. And you just take a blank piece of paper, printmaking paper, put it on your plate, and you run it through your etching press. Etching press has a big steel roller on top, a big steel plate down below that you can put this on and put the pressure on. And it's very, very high pressure. And when you take that off, that whole image there transfers onto your paper. But it's really hard to see, isn't it, because it's all white. Later on, after, if you want to come over here, you might want to grab this flashlight if you're interested and turn it on. And if you put a side light on, oh, there's all those lines. They're just all over. You see exactly what's on the plate. So how am I going to get the ink on here again? I need some ink on here. Same process I used for making the paper, I use right now. I use that process again. But this is much more, it's much subtler, isn't it? So I take the edges and I cover them up with a mask so I don't get the white paper on the edge. Take my spray paint and I spray up and down. And when that's finished, I have a print. But you see this area, this moon that's here? That's the color that I sprayed on. The whole plate was this color. And it looked pretty nice that way. I kept a couple. But then I wanted to accent birds. I wanted a blue sky to get them up into the air. So I took my Prismacolor again and I colored it in. I wanted the birds to be black, so I took Prismacolor, colored in the birds. But this is a resulting print from a colograph with hand colored. A lot of people look at this and they think that it's done by a computer. How could he possibly draw that, you know? You think it's a computer generated thing. I didn't draw it. I pressed it onto the paper, and then I got it to come out with different techniques that I was talking about.
Kathy, do we have time for a couple of questions?
Yeah, any questions?
You got a
Yes.
When did you start doing prints?
When did I start? I started very, very early. My dad, when I was just a little, I don't think I was even walking, and my dad was putting crayons and watercolors in his hands. And then very early, I would say about 11 years old, I got a piece of wood and I cut my first block. Yeah.
So just your opinion, do you think these are like hard, or do you think they're kind of like not too hard? Just thinking if I wanted to.
You wanted to do that?
Or just try it, you know?
Oh, no.
Not complicated.
It's not complicated at all when you start. Because you would start probably with either a lino cut, a little piece of linoleum, and you carve that, you learn how to do that, you learn how to put the ink on, you learn how to print it. So you know that part already. Yeah.
Lee, let me just say, Lee taught printmaking, developed a printmaking department at the college, but he was a middle school teacher when he first started. And the middle school was Everett Junior High School. And the mascot was an owl. Every kid, they would come home and he'd have the prints of the children, and they all made an owl. He got into owls. Paul was making owls at that time. He was much younger then. And he was making owls. One of the owls that he made grew into this. Isn't that a beautiful print? Just a lino cut.
So that's a lino cut, just a straight lino cut, and just rolled up with ink.
Let's get Kate.
And it's just a one black color. So this is like the beginning, except that the students made like one owl on a piece of linoleum about that big.
You can see how delicate you can do just with a straight block and no fancy ink. Any other questions?
We got a couple here.
Over here.
How did you get your like tracing paper to be so perfect?
How do you get it to be what, so perfect?
Your tracing paper?
The transfer paper, the transfer, how'd you get your designs on the transfer?
This design,
Yeah,
how do you get it to be so perfect?
yeah.
I use tracing paper. Tracing paper, I love it. As you can see through, right? So I had a lot of these drawings, worked a long time on them ahead. And I had drawings of it. And then I worked on the fish. I figured, how do I want the fish to look? I worked that on another piece of paper. Now I got these different pieces of paper with these drawings on. Now I get my tracing paper. I want the fish here. I just put it on top and trace it. And I keep moving this around on top of my other preliminary drawings, and I end up with the tracing.
Kathy, what's your?
Yes.
What? I've tried doing, like, getting into something and doing it, and sometimes I keep on doing it, I'm really good at it. Or, like, I'm good at some things, and I just keep on doing it and get better at it, but some things I've tried to do, and I just kind of, like, it's hard to keep on going with that. How did you keep on going with this drawing thing all your life with that? Did you ever, like, stop for a little bit?
Well, I think what you have to do is once you find something you really like, that's what you want to do.
I want to
As you want to put that through your life, because if you do exactly the kinds of things that you're interested in, there's no problem. You don't get tired of doing it, do you? We just love it. We just continue on, and we get better and better.
I just wondered if you could say, maybe talk to the other classes about this, but I thought it was such a wonderful point. What if you're carving along and you make your hand goes like this and you make a mark you didn't intend to?
Right.
What do you do?
What if that happens, especially on a big plate? Where's my big plate? Here's my big. What if I made a mistake on that and I was almost done with it? I made a big mistake on it. What am I going to do? First of all, I see if I can incorporate that mistake into my design. Cut a big cut in here. What could that become that relates back to the plate? Sometimes that works pretty well. Sometimes it's really good because you have something that you did not anticipate that you were going to do. And you kind of force your way into doing that because you made a mistake. But then if that doesn't work and you can't really fix it, what are you going to do? It's not hard at all. You can see this is a material that's fairly thin. If I made a mistake on this feather, I would cut that out. I cut a rectangle around it and I just lift it up. I get another piece of linoleum, cut the same size. I would actually lay this on top and draw a line through it, and I'd cut that out. And then I would place that in here and tape it on the back. And then I could recut that area. So you can, if you make some mistakes, there's usually a way that you can fix it.
And what you said is really, really important for two reasons. One is that you said, you do something and you're not happy with it. A lot of times when you're young, it's like you throw it away. You don't pursue it because it isn't what you had in your head. But the interesting thing about watching Lee when he works in the studio, if there's something that, as he said, I want to stress that, he looked at it with fresh eyes. He said, gosh, I made this mistake, now what? And he starts to look at it, and very often it leads him into a new direction in that art piece. It grew from that first thing that was in his head into something else, and he was receptive to that. But there's other times, oh man, that isn't what he wanted. He really wanted that feather in a certain way, and he'll cut it out, and he'll redo it the way with no mistake. So it's like, hang in there, maybe the change is for the good, or redo it. I wanted to emphasize that.
Very good.
So class, what do we want to say before we go off to lunch?
Thank
Okay, transportation.
I'd like to release you quietly by voice, so the first row will go left.
Little guys in the front like this. Not Paul. He's playing Native American flute. A few years ago, we had a flute class here. And we had 7th grade graders taking an elective. And how darn, they made a flute. And on graduation, 3, Paul welcomes you with a flute. And in the wilderness way, what we're about is the environment. We love to take the kids out climbing. Paul takes them over to Peter's Dam, goes down a narrow razorback ridge, if you're brave enough. And he's taken them. Now, I'm sure everyone in here knows. When Paul had this flute class, kids loved making up animal sounds. That haunting sound you can hear if you ever hike out towards the Pacific Ocean in any of the areas nearby, you'll find loons in that area. So now we've got some wildlife here. So the bobcats, later on, early on when we came, there were no coyotes here, but the coyotes came back. We see coyotes all the time. Love the bobcats. We know 2 of the key areas where you'll find mountain lions, which I'm going to tell you. And then Paul discovered a secret house in Roy's Redwoods. And I'm sure you don't know where that is. Everybody knows the main ones, the obvious ones. But Paul, when he was little, discovered one. And sometimes in his classes we take over, they'd have to come for it. 2 to 3 hours hunting for the house. And if they found it, they had a promise. They would never tell anyone where the secret redwood house was. You always had to find it yourself. And to this day, we've got the secret's still there. And that's a wonderful story. But this is a story of an idea. Sometimes, as I said before, people wonder, where does artists get their ideas? Now, if you look at this, you'll see a necklace. A necklace with beautiful turquoise stones. And you'll see a very special crystal that Navajo gave me when he was driving Lee around in the southwest looking for petroglyphs, carvings in the cliffs. And then there's some Babylonian here. And Lee brought all these home, and he just put it next to in the studio where he works in a little dish. One day, he was looking at these things, and he began to put the necklace together. He took some cord, a leather thong, and he strung the beads on it, and he put on the crystal. And when he finished, he went outside and he held it up to the sky. And it looked beautiful against the sky. And all of a sudden in his head, he visualized hawks flying around the necklace. And the next thing he said, what he told us, Paul and I later, that here he was standing on the earth outside in the valley, and he visualized the valley as the base. So he put this together. He had an idea. And when he sat down and strung that to make a necklace, he wasn't thinking about making a drawing, but that's what ended up. And this is the one of 2. He made a second one just like this, and this one was sold, and the other one hangs in our house. So there's 2 like this. So if you want to make something or do some artwork, it's like, where did the idea come from? An experience with your family? going outside and see that pesky raccoon that comes by, or a bobcat, or the paw of the mountain lion on the trail in front of you. It's like, where do the ideas come from? You never know. And you're going to find lots of ideas around here that Lee will talk about. And he'll talk to you about them by showing you the different ways of using printmaking to show what he's thinking about, what he loves, what he does. So I'll put this away, and Lee, you go get it.
What I want to show you today is 3 different ways to make a plate from which you can print a picture. I also want to show you how I prepare my printmaking paper before I even print on it. I put some color on it. Over here you see some pictographs that I saw in the Southwest. And they were up on a sandstone cliff. And you can see the sandstone here through the pictograph here. And then I put in some background color. I want to show you how I make this. I prepare the paper first, and then I'll go through and show you these things. So I wanted to make some paper that looked like a sandstone cliff. And that's what that looks like to me. Sandstone cliff. So how in the world did I make that? What I did was I got some of my best printmaking paper and I soaked it in water for an hour till it was very pliable. And then I just started to crumble it up. And I made a big wad out of it like that. I let that dry completely. And then very carefully I unwrapped it and spread it out. But I didn't press it too hard because I wanted the texture to be in the paper. So now I have a textured piece of paper. I want to put some color on that. So I take the orange spray paint and I put this on a board and pin it down real well so I can get it to stand up straight without it moving. And I take my spray paint and I start down at this end. You notice I'm shooting the paint down the paper, not on top, because then it'll just cover everything up. But if I shoot it from an angle like this, I start down at that end, and I'll just go up and down, and then come clear back to the end here. I want to add a little bit of red paint. I have a little bit of red paint. Maybe I'll just put that in a few spots. Then I have orange and red on here, but I also have some white paper showing, don't I? Because this is so bumpy that when I shoot it at a low angle, there's a lot of white paper that doesn't get any ink. And that's still white. So then I go back and get my watercolor set. And I get a big wide brush and I get my favorite yellow gold color, which is about this tone here. And with that big fat brush, I simply watercolor back and forth. So the watercolor does not stick to this acrylic paint. It only sticks and soaks into the white paper, right? And that's how then you end up with this piece of paper that is now a cliff face of sandstone. And any plate that I make and I want to print, I can print directly on there. I've already got a lot of color happening. So how do I make the plate? Well, there's 3 different kinds here, and there's a lot more that I'm not going to show you. We don't have the time. Probably the first plate was a flat piece of wood that somebody cut into And then later on, when new materials were invented by us humans, we have a piece of linoleum here, kind of like what's on the floor, but it's specially made for the art market. This was called battleship linoleum in the old days, because they actually put this on the floors of the battleships. But nowadays they don't do that anymore, they have all the new technology. But you can still buy battleship linoleum for the prints. So here is the plate, and this has already got the cut on it. You can see there's a picture on there, right? How did I get that on there? Before I started, I had to have design. So I had a piece of paper and I made a design. I made a drawing. And somebody said, how did you get that drawing so perfect on it? Because I used tracing paper. And I did a lot of preliminary drawings. I drew fish, like this fish. I drew a feather. I drew a person's head. I drew clouds. And they were kind of on separate pieces of paper. But then when I wanted to bring that drawing together, I put this piece of paper on it. Why? Because this is exactly the size that I wanted to go onto the box. And I traced them. And so you get a real clean drawing very quickly. You don't have to erase here. You've already done all your preliminary drawing, right? Okay, so now we're ready to put that on the piece of linoleum. So you go to your art store and you buy some transfer paper, they call it. Simply a piece of paper that has a coating on one side, and you put that coating onto the plate, that piece of paper. You put this drawing on top of it, tape it on there so it won't move around, and then you trace over your lines, and it comes off on the block so you can see it. So then I take some gouges that are specially made for cutting linoleum. You have a V gouge, a U gouge, flat gouge. You have a variety of ways you can make a cut. And then I go ahead and I cut out what? The background. Because the eye spots are what's going to print. So I cut out all the background. And I'm going to bring this around real quick. You can see all the cuts in here. Alrighty. So, since I'm going to print from the eye spots, I use a brayer, which is a roller, and a piece of glass with ink on it, and I roll that ink back and forth. This is special ink made for printmaking. It's stiff, and it gives you a real sharp image. It doesn't smush out on you. So I roll that up, and I put a piece of white paper for a proof print. I don't want to use my really good paper yet, because I don't know if I cut it deep enough in something. So I'll put a piece of white paper on, run it through a press, etching press, or you can call it block print press, pull my print. And here is what they call a proof print. That's so I can see what I got. You see there's some areas in there that are kind of smudgy. I didn't like that, so I cut them out. I cut it deeper so that the brayer would go down there and ink those deep spots. So after I retooled this a little bit, I was ready to use my cliff wall paper, and I pulled this print. Same print now, but it's on my prepared paper. So it's already kind of an interesting print to look at, isn't it? All right, now I want to add some color to that. And I'm going to draw some blue in to the sky. And that's kind of how your finished print looks. Okay. That's the block print cut on the building.
Lee?
And I have a quick question. I know that you chose this color because you wanted to, because of the image of the stone you had seen in the Southwest, but I'm curious if you've tried this procedure with other colors and what the results were.
That's right. You could make other colors on it, and here's an example of that. Here's one that was prepared in blue, and here's the one that was prepared with these colors. So you have an option, which is nice. Making prints is fun because once you have a block, there's all kinds of different ways to print the block. It doesn't always have to be exactly one like the other. You can change color and so forth.
And if you look on the wall, he's got one, used a black mat and framed it. And it's still with the finished product is sitting there in the center.
And another way to make a print is to use, this is very traditional. This is a zinc plate, it's metal. You used to use copper a lot, but copper is so expensive that a lot of the artists started using zinc. And that's an acid process. First of all, you take your plate and you cover it with an acid-resistant coating. Lots of different ways to apply it. You get that all covered up so the acid can't touch it. Then you take an etching needle, and with an etching needle, you scratch through the surface of that coating. So lots of lines went down. I could draw every line on them.
At the bottom, Spirit Rock. And in front of Spirit Rock, you'll often see a cow in the meadow. So there's a Spirit Rock, and there's a cow. And if you're riding along Drake and you look in that direction, behind it is a beautiful ridge. And over the ridge is Nicasio. It's a beautiful ridge. We have a story about that ridge and bears coming over. That's another time. But take a look what the artist did with that ridge. Here's the ridge coming from Fairfax side. The ridge goes along and it's headed towards the ocean. And look, the ridge begins to turn into waves as it gets towards the ocean. And look at, he's put turtles flying up above. Now, Native Americans call our continent Turtle Island. Very important. Turtles are one of the longest living creatures. So Lee started with his base as the valley. Spirit Rock, an icon in the valley. The meadow and the beautiful ridges. But it changes in his mind to these wonderful waves. And then, in the other parts of this I want to draw your attention to, Lee loves ravens. A lot of times I prepare him dinner, he takes a hike, and Paul goes over, if Paul was home from college in those days, and they will hike up, and the thermals that come up are just create wonderful wind patterns. And the birds love the wind at the top of the ridge. And the ravens, I think, love it the most. They turn upside down.
Hey!
Shorty. All
Okay,
right.
now you've widened it.
We're going to
You
take
got
this
both of them now?
wonderful print
Okay, great.
and we're going to give it to the new owner.
Got it in both hands.
Got it in both
For beginners.
hands. All right.
Hey, all right.
That's it.
One more.
Look at that.
Look at that, the dual dynamic.
Whoops, I think I took too many.
That's all right.
Did you hear
I
it?
probably did it first.
Too many is fine.
It's just fine. Good. Perfect.
Okay, so you want to
You better
All
check.
right.
hand it to him?
We're gonna take it down and give it to the new owners. Wonderful. Hang on to that.
Oops, sorry.
Hey,
Hey.
all right.
All right.
All right, got it.
Got it.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations on a great show.
Good.
Guess you can never get too many accolades. Oh, really? Are they? I'm sure.
All right. Great, looks good. Thank you.
Keep rolling.
Okay.
Ceremonial taking off the wall. Peter, that's for you. Now, do you mind if I take
Oh, these one.
Great. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Hey, all right, you guys. Wonderful. Stand there, Bob.
Oh, we've got a treasure.
There you are.
So you got that? Move in, Doreen. Move in close. Grab hold of it. Sure.
All right, great, thank you.
Hey. Da, 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 da.
Hey, beautiful, all
All
right,
right.
got it.
Here it comes down.
It's just
There
gorgeous.
you go.
Hey, all right.
May I have the sticky that will go
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
gonna
back?
put it right on the back for you.
I'll pull back, I'll let you know when I pull back.
Oh, I know.
All right, got it.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Beautiful, okay.
Okay.
Wait, is that it?
Well, he's just gonna pull it off and give it to you.
Oh.
Take it off.
Okay. Wonderful. This is our honor. Thank you so much for showing this beautiful work of art. The talent, the thought, and everything that goes into it, because it's going to be a stunning piece to bring so much story to our lives. Thank you, Lee.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We're going to.
That's really neat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's filming. All right.
Okay, good, got it.
Now we step in.
So go ahead and hand it to him.
Should we take it off the wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
First, want to put
Go like
the.
this.
Yay,
How's that?
perfect,
Okay.
nice.
Shocky's getting this one.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Sharky. There it is. 4 generations of bluebird songs.
Hey, all right,
Okay.
wonderful, got it.
All right.
I was just on the other side, and she opened up. Wow.
Okay,
All right. Here we go.
Last year, she had a major piece of wall.
There's a beautiful piece of art. Good.
hey, perfect, thanks. Yeah, yeah.
You did this in Everett, in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's for the Eddie the Owl. He was the mascot. And we made Eddie the Owl statues painted in gold and gave them to the best kids and stuff like that.
I love the same.
Okay,
Okay,
Beautiful.
here's another one.
Thank you.
Very good, for your collection.
great. A second here. Okay,
Oh, let's take this beautiful blue piece down.
Yes.
Match your outfit.
Thank you, yes, I like to be matching, even in my paintings.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's my dad.
Yeah.
Taking off.
Yeah, I like the whole sentiment behind it as well as the artwork itself. Yeah.
How long have you had this piece? Have you had it in your possession for a while?
I forgot how long ago he died. All right.
Alrighty.
Take this off. There you are. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, thank you.
Great. First.
By golly.
All right. I'm going
All
to give you
right.
this wonderful drawing.
All right.
That's it.
Okay.
What we have in our living room is only 2 of these in existence.
Well, it totally called to
And
me.
you've got
This is
one.
an honor.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Kevin.
Hey, great. Oh, right. Perfect.
Wait, stand it first.
Oh,
There we go.
Yeah, boy, that'd be perfect,
Piece
Howard.
of jewelry.
Wow.
look at how
We called it wearable art.
It is a beautiful drawing. Lots of fish coming up the stream. Okay, Larry, here you go.
Wow, thank you. And it's been very much of a privilege to be part of this whole project.
You were really a wonder man.
Great.
Now let's win.
When?
Okay. How do you like this picture?
I like it
You like it a
very much.
lot? Okay.
Camera's on now.
Okay.
Now start resuming back.
Yeah.
All right, I've got 2 of your faces there.
Okay. This wonderful owl was bought by this wonderful young lady here, and we're going to take it down so she can take it home with her.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, it's beautiful.
Grab it. It's yours.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Beth, here is your wonderful print.
it is a wonderful print. I'm thrilled. Thank you so much.
Sea Shaman Dreams.
Hey.
Hey.
Right.
Good. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Very special.
Talk about the image here. All these little skeletons are coming down, raining down on this lady. She's trying to protect herself with her umbrella. And over here, there's a man and a woman with a foot between them. Some kind of bad stuff going on. It was a deep submersible, brings the ills of the world down into the depths of the ocean. So, Dan and your lovely wife,
Eileen,
here you are, Eileen.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
We will cherish it.
very
I already
good.
got the spot in the living room.
All right,
All right.
super.
Prime
Great. Got it. Thank you. I'll give you the thumbs up, Lee, when it's ready.
Our stars ready to go again.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes, I know
very nice.
it. Very good.
Are you pulling back, Paul?
Yep. Already.
Ready? All right, let's take it off again. And here we are.
Here we are.
This
Yes.
time we got it, huh?
We got it. Great. Thank
Good.
you.
Okay.
Got it. Great.
I filmed for 5
Very
seconds,
nice.
and then I come back,
Okay.
and then when I can see him, I give Lee the thumbs up. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Have you been shooting all
Yeah.
that? All right. This wonderful thing is coming off the wall, and here you are.
Thank you.
A new wonderful picture for your
Oh,
wall.
beautiful.
Both of you looked at
Perfect.
the
See that?
camera? Yeah.
Great. Okay.